Welcome to TriStar Digging. I appreciate you joining us today. We've got a little bit of work to do on this trailer. I was backing into a property the other day, and I don't know, bent something, broke something, whatever. But this little lever right here is supposed to, you kick that and it's supposed to release this bed and slip up. Of course, it's going to now for sure because I've got the linkage off that makes that work, just so I can get this thing on and off. And I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody that's subscribed to the channel and watching the channel. We finally broke through 1,000 subscribers. It took about 13 months, almost 13 months to do that. That took a lot longer than I thought it would, but we broke through that 1,000. Next stop is 10,000. That might be wishful thinking, but it might as well set a goal anyway. So appreciate everybody that's subscribed and watching the channel. Really appreciate that. First thing we want to do is get this Cat 259 off the trailer and figure out how to get this fixed. I've got to find my linkage too. I don't remember exactly where I put that linkage that makes that work, but we'll take a look at that in just a second. Okay, I got that skid steer put up now. We'll head back up there and take a look at that trailer, see what we can do. What I'm thinking about it, I never have really talked about, you know, a lot of people have shops and places to work on stuff. I've got a pole barn. This is 40 foot wide and 84 foot long. So it's a decent size. I'm thinking about closing in about 40 foot of it on the front to make a shop. But I never have talked about this. Let's just walk through it right quick and I'll show you kind of what I do. It's a mess because I just got equipment parked in here everywhere. I don't really have a system. So there's little D, the little dump truck, the dozer sitting there. Here's a hay baler I'm trying to sell. Basically brand new, I just don't bale hay anymore. And let's see, got the dump truck anchor back there, side by side. I never have shown this truck either. That's a 1990 F-150 Lariat. And somebody decided they want to take the catalytic converters off of it, so I got to put a new muffler on it. Got the packer there. There's my stepson's SS Monte Carlo. Some people have saw that in the videos before and asked about it, but that's my stepson's car. And the little excavator, the bigger excavator. Here's an old tractor that I grew up on, really. This is my papa's tractor he bought when I was probably 8 years old. I've spent a lot of time, I'm sure people can relate, but I've spent a lot of time on that fender right there. Well, the other one as well. But a lot of hours riding on those fenders with my papa. I missed those times. It was great. A little bush hog there, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's a walkthrough, and there's that 1,000-gallon fuel tank I've mentioned before. I can, you know, 1,000-gallon tank, and man, it takes almost $5 a gallon to fill it up. My goodness, that'd probably be about $4,700 to fill up that fuel tank. I'll just buy it 100 gallons at a time from a local shop that I go to. Let's head back up here to the trailer and see what I can tear up on it, because I'm not a mechanic, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Okay, so here's the dilemma. If you see the little clasp, that little clasp right there, what happens when I step on this, it's supposed to make that fold forward, and it clamps onto this lip right up here, but over in the middle of the trailer. So what should be going on right now is this should be in this position, straight up and down, and then that should be open just like that. And then what's supposed to happen is you push that down, and it, with this bed lowered, it locks that down. But it don't do that. First thing we gotta do is find that linkage that makes that work, and I don't remember exactly where I put that. If it's in here somewhere, and I don't know, I don't see it anywhere. Might be a snake or something in there. good or not, that's a mess. Let me look on the other side here, because it should just be laying on top. But you can see I'm not very organized. It's not here. I just took it off last week, so it ought to be laying right there on top. Let's look in this box here. There's a chance it might be in there. Yeah, there it is. All right, so there's our linkage. And I tried last week to adjust these clamps right here in and out to try to make that thing work like it was. But apparently well, obviously this is bent, but it's not bent enough to make that stop working. And so I'm not sure what happened, why it doesn't work. So let's get underneath it and see what we got. And of course Diesel's here. He got that ball in his mouth. He carries that ball around there. Give me a ball. He'd rather chase that balls to eat. Let's climb under here and see what we got going on. So we look at that clamp right there, and it's in the open position. And this is in closed position. So let's put this in the open position. Just like that. Now then, these linkages, here's the one for the clamp, and then here's the one for this opener. And then if we look at this rod here, it's right there in the right position it's supposed to be in, but if you look up here, it's way too long. So best thing I can figure out, and I don't really see anywhere where this rod got bent anywhere, or even this part right here got bent. So now then, let's move it to the closed position on both, and we'll see what that linkage looks like. All right, that's closed. I might be able to close this with my hand. Yeah, got that closed with my hand. So now then, this linkage is up here, and this one is right there. So when you put this in position, where it goes up there, now that should go right there. And then obviously, that's too short. So what I believe I gotta do is I've gotta get this ear, I've gotta get this down here somewhere in this position, so that when I open this, it's gonna take this rod and pull it up. So that's what I gotta figure out. So let me think on that for a minute, and I'll come back. All right, while I'm working on that, it's starting to rain again, so we'll have to take an intermission. Be back when it quits raining. Okay, it quit raining. So now I've got this linkage in here. I've got it in this part right here, and this ear is in the down position, and that latch right there is now closed. In order for the latch to be closed, this ear has to be in down position, okay? So in order for this to work effectively, this needs to be in this position straight out. So now then, with that linkage in there where it needs to be, I can open that latch by pulling back on that. You saw it open. Now let me do it this other way. So that is in the closed position, and then when I pull this, now it's in the open position. So here's our dilemma. All right, let's close that latch back right there. This is in the straight out position where it has to be. This is in the down position where it has to be. That's right, and that's right. Here's our problem. This is wrong. This needs to be laying down flat. So I've thought about this for a minute, and I've looked at it and thought, well, how can I get this to lay flat without a whole lot of problems? So I was figuring out how to take this rod out right here and pull it out and maybe straighten this out, heat it up and spin it and straighten it out. But then I got to looking back here, and all this has got welded up. It's a big thing on the back of it that won't let that come out without cutting that off. And it's just to be a big pain to try to twist that. So I think what I've got to do is this is in this position. It's got to be laid down like that. The only thing I can think of is to take a sawzall or a cutting saw, probably a sawzall, about the only thing get in here, and cut this in two right here. Prep this side, and do my best to weld that back. And so I will stress, do my best, because I'm not a welder. There's no telling what this is gonna look like, but I hope it's gonna be functional. So this is probably gonna be like, kind of like a buddy of mine told me one time. He's a carpenter, and a very good carpenter actually. And he always used to say putty was his buddy. So paint's gonna be my buddy here. We'll paint this up real good, and we'll make it look like a brand new penny. So I'm thinking over this a little bit more, and I'm trying to figure out what happened. When I backed in that property the other day, I was goofy. I had this down in the down position. I had it open, was fixing to unload the machine, and thought, well, I need to get my trailer off the side of the road a little bit better. So I backed up, and this was in down position. Only thing I can figure is that this thing, I know it got bent. Well, I know it did because it looked like that once I got parked. But I don't see anything, as I was looking at all these parts, that would have caused it to do this, because I don't see anything that's bent. Anyway, we're gonna get it fixed. So here's the plan of action. This rod runs through a collar right here. So from right here back to the edge of the trailer is a collar that this rod turns inside of. The only way I can get to this rod is right here in this little crack. And so I'm gonna cut that rod at that crack. And then once I get that done, get this out of the way, I'll come back in here and cut this collar back about a 1/2 inch, so that then I can weld this rod back together with itself in there. And all this wouldn't be necessary if I had just lowered that back down before I backed up into that property. Got this ready to cut now, and I mentioned earlier that I didn't know where it actually been at. Well, I do now that I've got this thing turned up. You can see that thing's turned in a little bit sideways, and I can see right in there some signs of twisting. So that's what's happened. It twisted right here where this collar is, and that's why it's bent and turned in a little bit like that. Get this cut off, and we'll get started putting it back. First, I got to get this grinding wheel off, put a cutting disc on it. And plug it up, that always helps. Just like that, I got that cut off. It's not the squarest cut in the world, but I can take the grinder and shape that back up, and then once I get this cut off, I can shape that back up as well. So you see, what I've got to do now is that rod is inside that collar, and I'm going to somewhere or another cut just enough of that collar off so I can weld this back to the piece that I just cut off right there. Just like that. Yeah, that'd make a pretty good ring. Might need to polish that baby up and sell that. Anyway, we got it cut off. And now that I need to clean this up and bevel that edge a little bit. Clean this up, bevel that edge a little bit. And then I got to get it put back together with my hot glue gun. Put this grinding disc back on so I can clean that up good. Well, I tell you right now, I was blessed on that one. When I let go of that grinder wheel, that disc and that came off. Wow. That could have been bad. I know I have to tighten it, but I guess I didn't tighten it good enough. That ought to do it. All right, let's take a look at that now, and that will work just fine. I got both those sides beveled so that weld will get down in there good. I think that'll be okay. Next step is putting this linkage back exactly where it needs to go and in the closed position. That way that I can set this up here exactly where it needs to go in the closed position. I can tack it and get a weld strong enough to hold it, and then I can spin this thing around where I can really get in there and weld it at that point. Let's get the welder out and get all that set up, and we'll start burning some rod on it. This is the little old welder I've got. It's a Miller MaxStar 150S. It's really handy. It's a little portable welder, and it does a good job. It's got a 220 setting, and it's also got a plug we can do a 110. You know, one of the disadvantages of not having a shop is not having everything set up to where you can work like as efficiently as you'd want to. And you know, we walked through that pole barn a little while ago. It'd be nice to have that set up to the shop. I could back this trailer in or pull it in, whatever, have a bigger welder sitting there, and have everything ready to go, ready to work. But in this situation, I can't get close enough to my 220 plug to use the 220. So you just simply unscrew that at the bottom, take off the 220 plug, and plug in the 110, and then screw it back in. Simple as that. And another thing too is, this is the extension cord I was using for the grinder, the little flimsy, just nothing extension cord. So in order to try to do the best I can, trying to get enough amperage, I got a bigger extension cord, more suitable for this. And let's see what we can get done. Let's see if we got power. And we do have power, so we are good to go. Try to get this welded up. And I would explain what rod I'm using and why, and how that's going to work best for this application. But to be honest with you, I don't know. I've got a 6013 here. I've got some 6011. Don't really know the difference, but I think it'll hold this. Got that linkage on there now. So I'm gonna do this a little bit different than I initially thought. I've got that clamp there now in the open position, and that will allow me to then put this on in the open position, and I'll be able to get in there and weld that a little bit better than what I first thought the way I was going to do it. So I got to get a clamp and figure out some way or another to clamp that rod together. That way I can get it welded. Look at him sitting over there. He's got there's a dog from the neighbors over there that lives up there, named Shadow. He's waiting on Shadow to come over here to play. He's hoping that Shadow's gonna get turned loose here in a few minutes. He will sit for long periods of time at the end of our driveway. I won't let him go over there. I don't like him to leave the property. But in this area, general area right here, I'll be in the house, I'll look outside looking for him. He'll be sitting in this general area watching for Shadow to come over here to play. Didn't have a good place to put my ground clamp, so I had to grind a little shiny place off. Maybe that'll make a good ground right there. it up a little bit. All right, that should hold it. I'm going to show you this weld, but don't laugh at me. Well, that was a good that was a good weld right there. Let's grind this off and try again. Golly. All right, here we go, round two. All right, let's see what we got. Well, I've got a little bit of penetration right there. That'll hold it to where I can get up in here now and come around through there, get on the bottom side and go through there, and then kind of twist it around and get it welded up real good. Well, I wouldn't say real good. I'll get it to hold anyway. I need to get that linkage off so I can spin that around. And rather than twisting on this weld, I'm gonna go underneath here, get a hold of that rod and spin it by turning the rod instead of by that piece of metal there. All right, I think what I'm gonna do is grind that down a little bit, get a good clean weld right here, and I'll weld through there. All right, that's got that crack welded up pretty good on the bottom side. Let's see what we can do, spin them around now. I think it's strong enough now I can spin it without worrying about breaking it off. We got a small fire here. All right, that linkage is in. So what we want to see now is when I step on this and get this down flat, I want that clamp to shut so it'll close this bed down. Let's see if it works. Yep, I believe that's going to work just fine. Close that clamp down. Let's go back the other way. We are good to go. That weld will hold till it breaks and then I can fix it again. Oh man, I've ruined that lens, I think. Good night. Got burn marks all over that. Hopefully it don't mess up the view. If not, I guess I'll be buying another GoPro. Anyway, let's give this thing a test run for sure. I'm gonna lower the deck down and I'm gonna put that bar down and see if it holds the bed. Say, here, down, stay, stay, stay. As you can tell, I got a problem. It held up pretty good, so I started jumping on it, and then it sprung back up. I think I know what the problem is, though. We got that bed raised back up, and this is still in the closed position. What I think has happened is that that's not going down quite flat enough to get across this lip of this bed. But I can fix that with those with the linkage adjustment. Let's go in there and look at that. So with that in the closed position, what's happening is this bar, this ear, needs to go that way just a little bit more to close that down. So what I'll do is take this pin out right here, drops that down, and then this ear right here, I'll screw it out that way so that it'll push this ear a little bit farther to the back of the trailer, which will cause that to close a little bit more. Let's get that done. That'll be a little bit easier to do out from under the trailer. So let's see what we can get done here. Where'd Shadow go? I saw her over here a while ago. Where'd your girlfriend go? So if I had a shop, I'd take this over to the vise and put it in a vise and make my job a little easier. But we don't have a vise, so we're going to do it this way. Well, actually, I do have a vise. It's just not handy right now. Let's see if that'll work. So I'm sure you can't tell because I didn't show this view from a while ago, but you can see that that now then is pretty tight down on that. Let's give it a try. Come up here. Down. 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 Good boy. Stay. As you can see there from the second attempt, it passes the jump test, so we are good to go, rated for 14,000 pounds. We got all this mess cleaned up now because I don't have a shop. I'll have to drag all this out, put all it up. But anyway, all right, let's see if we can get this cleaned up and get that ready to paint right there. Let's see if the old snapper works. Well, that snapper got us cleaned up pretty good now. Let's get this thing painted and it'll be all finished. Got a can of genuine Rust-Oleum Professional. That means it's gonna look good. Okay, let's take a look at the final job there. It looks nice. Look at that. You don't even never know it was broke. Except for all that dirt dauber welding right there. All right, looks good. Let's get this thing latched down now. All right, well, I got that bed latched down now to where I can drive it without having to strap it down with a strap, and that's going to make my life a little bit easier. A little bit aggravating that I did that by accident and spent, 3 or 4 hours this morning trying to fix it. But anyway, it's fixed, and you've learned that grinder and paint make me the welder that I ain't. So I appreciate everybody watching. As I mentioned earlier in the video, all the folks that have got us subscribed to the channel, got us up over 1,000 subscribers, commented and liked the videos. I sure appreciate that. We're going to keep on growing, keep on climbing, and going to keep making these videos. Hope you enjoy them. I appreciate you sticking around for the message, and what I want to cover is 3 passages of scriptures, all found in Proverbs, and it deals with counsel, about seeking wisdom and seeking guidance from other people, and not just going off on our own and making our own decisions, because a lot of times we do that out of greed or selfishness or rebellion or a lot of different factors come into play when we make a decision on our own. The Bible is full of references to seeking counsel and seeking wisdom in decisions, and really it's exponential, meaning that the more important the decision is, the more counsel that we ought to seek. And I'm not talking about counsel from the world. I'm not talking about counsel from people that cheat and lie and steal. I'm talking about godly counsel, wisdom from people that will tell you the truth, honest truth. And sometimes we don't want to hear it. Sometimes we don't like it, but it's beneficial for us to get good godly counsel in our lives as Christians. So the first passage I want to cover is in Proverbs 15:22, and it says, "Without counsel, plans go awry, but in the multitude of counselors they are established." So that means if we go off on our own, making our own plans, those plans are liable to go sideways. Just depending on the motivation behind those plans, really. And that the Bible encourages us to seek the multitude of counselors, meaning more than one, in situations that we find ourselves in life. So the next one we'll look at is in Proverbs 11:14, and it says, "Where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety." This one talks about being safe in the decisions that we make. If we're seeking wise counsel, godly counsel from good Christian people, then we can take safety in the knowledge that those people have passed on to us. And because most of the time it's going to be honest counsel. It's not going to be for their own benefit or for their own good. It's for the benefit of the person that's asking and seeking that counsel. And then the next one we'll talk about puts it as plain as the Bible can put it. And it's in Proverbs 12:15. And it says, "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise." That pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? It says that a fool is right in his own eyes. And how often that happens today, when people foolishly go off on their own plans, their own ideas, and a lot of times it's not for the benefit of other people. It's selfish reasons that people find themselves in this kind of trouble. And so my encouragement to you today is to seek counsel on decisions that you make. And the most important decision you can make today is a counsel from a Christian, someone who's a believer in Jesus Christ, about the truth and the power of the blood of Jesus Christ to forgive sins, and that if you place your faith and trust in Him, you have a home eternal in the heavens. So I hope this has been encouragement to you. I hope that it speaks to your heart, and that causes you to come to a point to understand that Jesus is Lord and that we need Him in our life. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it.